We don't treat the partners as numbers. We treat them as people who've bet their careers, their mortgage, their livelihood on, on our technology. And so we take that very seriously. And I have to say, HubSpot is the first company I've been in where the CEO believes the same. The move to consumption-based pricing is a flipping minefield for all SaaS companies. Because if you're a publicly listed company, or not, but you still have, a significant customer base, how do you move that customer base to credit-based, usage-based, without completely disrupting your earnings? Companies that have the best customer context will deliver the best AI output. And partner is number one in HubSpot in terms of the value we get over the lifetime of a customer to the acquisition cost. How much does it cost for us to acquire them? CFOs are thinking about, where do I place my allocation of budget? And in our space, they're looking at partners as a demand source that's accelerating at a time when QL is decelerating. Co-selling friction and friction in the partner program is a huge obstacle for partners to work with a vendor. HubSpot's C-suite is fully behind partner. In fact, our CEO probably speaks to more partners than she does customers, I would imagine.
Today I'm joined by Peter Lorant from HubSpot. I'm very excited about this conversation. Peter, welcome to the show.
It's wonderful to be here, Maxime. Thank you so much for inviting me.
My pleasure. As always, Peter, I like to start with you. So can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Peter Lorant. I'm based in London, England. I have been working in the IT industry now, B2B technology, for about 35 years. I've been working at some fantastic leading brands like IBM, Google, Computer Center, Workday, Zendesk, and now at HubSpot. I've been at HubSpot for the last couple of years, and I am responsible for the global partner sales team out of London.
And if I'm not wrong, you went from marketing to partnerships, then operation, and then now back to partnerships.
Yeah, I've had a pretty circuitous career. I started at IBM in Canada in sales. I then moved to the UK, did some more sales at Computer Center, then did an MBA, and then moved into marketing. So then I did marketing for a number of years. From marketing, I went and tried to set up my own business and failed spectacularly. Learned a lot, so not really a failure, but and then I came back to Europe and was responsible then for alliances at Workday. And I had an opportunity to take on a stretch objective that gave me a bit more recognition and visibility. And then I was offered to become strategy and operations lead for Workday internationally, which effectively was a COO role. And then I did COO role at Zendesk during lockdown as well. So from sales to marketing to strategy and operations, failed entrepreneur. And then throughout it all, then I had an opportunity to go into partnerships as well. And so I'm not one of these people who grew up with partnership in my blood. I've got a very much a left to right view of the business across many functions, which is effectively a successful partner leader should be doing that, working with sales, with marketing, with customer success, with legal, with HR and finance and everybody. And that's what a COO does as well. And that's what I've done across my career. So yeah, very much a atypical route into partnerships.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we have so many topics to tackle today, but I'd like to start.
Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's see what you cover.
Yeah, you have a great career, like more than 30 years, as you said. What are the key learnings, during your careers? So many things, but I'd like to deep dive maybe into, your learning into partnerships and what advice you can give, to the next gen.
Yeah, I love doing like mentorship, and in fact, I had one mentee discussion today, and there's a couple of things that I've learned that I love to share with people younger, earlier in career. The first thing that was a gift that was given to me 35 years ago that I live my life by, and that is the company is a tool for you, not the other way around. You may be in a big company and you may think that you're a small cog in a big machine. That's not the right way to think of it. I think companies are there to offer you opportunities, and it's your job to make sure the company offers you these opportunities and that you take advantage of them. Learning skills, and I think we'll talk more about AI, but I think in an AI world, it's less about what your job title is in your role. It's more what are the skills that you're picking up? What's your opportunity to learn? So the number one career advice is a bit like Pokemon. Go out there and collect as many skills as you can because that is what's going to make you marketable. Which leads to the second, I think, key learning is just be really careful about and purposeful about what your brand is. And don't be self-serving in your brand. The brand, I always say, is what do people say about you when you're not in the room? And so much of my formative career was spent at Google. And when we did calibration sessions to talk about people's performance and promotion, the manager actually had to stay silent. And it was up to the other managers to critique the individual. So it was all based on what do people perceive of you? And are you seen as somebody who impacts the business? So not in a self-serving way in terms of your brand, but what do people perceive and how are you helping people achieve their goals? So, and then the last thing I'll say, and I said this again to my mentee earlier today, was manage your manager effectively. And I am such a transparent person. I say this to all of my managers. I said it to the founder, CEO of Zendesk. I said, Mikkel, I'm going to manage you. And he was like, what? And I said, well, let me explain what I mean by that. I'm never going to waste your time. I'm going to show up prepared. I'll always have an agenda. I'll always share with you in advance what my agenda is. And I will never come to you with a problem that I've not already really deeply thought about. Because, I respect your time. And when I ask something of you, it's going to be really spot on, and it's going to be something that is valuable. And even saying it to CEO and founders, it resonates well. And I think those are some of the bits of career advice, whether you're in partnerships or sales or marketing, I think have stood the test of decades of experience.
Great advice, and thanks for that. Useful also for me, I'd like to go straight to HubSpot because you are building such a great ecosystem. What's on your table at the moment?
So I think HubSpot has done a phenomenal job in building an ecosystem. I think we're still in the early days of it, and there's a lot more to come. My responsibility is on partner sales. So I've got a target that I need to hit. I've got a team of partner development managers around the world that are responsible for the success and growth of our partners aligned to our success metrics. So I'm a pretty simple sales guy, right? Give me a target and I'll try and hit it. We are speaking now in November, pretty close to year end. So our job is to finish the year and meet our growth expectations, and also to plan for next year. So I'm deep in executing now to finish the year strong and to plan for next year. And so far, we're doing very well from our targets this year, from a partnerships perspective. We made a massive change in our partner strategy 2 years ago when I joined, because we used to have a team of channel account managers that would go out there and sell directly with partners, as working in parallel with the sales team. And then we used to have also a partner consultant team, and it was all a bit confusing, and so we blew it all up when I joined 2 years ago. Last year was a tough year. I'm not going to lie, that was year one for us. We had to build everything from scratch, and we really hit our stride this year, and we're smashing our numbers this year. So what's on my table? Closing out the year, building a fantastic team where we've got very low attrition levels, so I'm really happy with how the team has come together. We had low attrition levels actually last year when we went through the change, and I think change management is also probably a topic I hope we'll get into, because it's how you take the team through change, and we're all going through change with AI as well, and I've learned a lot around managing change as well. So, and then planning for next year. And next year, uncomfortably excited, I think, is the words I would use, because we're still expected to grow more than 20% next year. For a $3 billion revenue company, there's not many companies out there of our size growing at 20+%. So uncomfortably excited about next year as well.
Yeah, so many topics to tackle, but let's go to change management. What was your first decision when you joined 2 years ago?
Yeah, so this was the biggest change I think that HubSpot in its, at that point, 18-year existence probably went through, because it affected all of our partners, all of our sellers, and all of our partners' team. And it changed our go-to-market strategy to some degree, quite a large degree. I think the first thing is, before I joined, we didn't set expectations, I think, appropriately when I joined. And I think whenever you go through a big change, there's a J curve going through the change. It's not just a up and to the right, hey, we've got the change, let's all run with it. People had to learn their new roles, and it's not the old role, and the new role hadn't been fully decided yet. And so we had to literally, the famous metaphor of changing the wheels of the car when you're driving, 120 kilometers an hour. So we had to go through that together. And what I'm super proud of is we went through that change as a team. And we had the EMEA team sharing best practices with the JPAC team sharing some best practices with the North America team and LATAM team. And we all came together to build best practice together, because there was nothing. And that's actually part of the arc of my career. Is I love starting clean sheets of paper where it's the first time we've ever done something. And so I was very comfortable with that kind of change. But first is just be aware you are going to go through the J curve. Second, you need to, you can't communicate frequently enough. And as we're going through AI, and I think people are excited and fearful of AI, you need to talk into it and lean into it and not ignore it. And we did a lot of communication. And we explained to people, this is going to be the most exciting time of your career. You're going to look back on this and say, what I accomplished in the early years of this transformation was the best time in my career, because I learned so much. I didn't have a safety net, and it wasn't business as usual. I got to create something, and you can see the fruits of what you created on our sales and on our partners' business and on your career. And so throughout all of this change, and not many people hit their number last year, and we didn't lose many people at all throughout the change. And now that we're through it, and we've had now a full proper year, we're smashing it. So I think as we go through the AI transformation, understand you will go through a J curve. Understand that communication and transparency is super important, and bring the team as part of the journey, so it's not done to them, but it's done with them.
And how do you move the organization behind you? Because we know that HubSpot, it's like thousands of employees, it's massive. How do you involve maybe over C-level or CEO behind you?
So this is the amazing work that was done before I joined. But HubSpot C-suite is fully behind partner. In fact, our CEO probably speaks to more partners than she does customers, I would imagine. We had our last board meeting a couple of weeks ago. We had a couple of partners present to our board. That shows just how deep the DNA is within HubSpot of the importance and value partners bring to us. And it comes from a couple of places. The first is we've got over 250,000 customers out there. We target the small and mid-size and lower end of enterprise. And so there's a lot of these kind of companies out there, and they want local support. And so we have thousands of partners out there. And we scale through partners, and that's the only way we can really achieve that kind of scale is with partners. So it's part of our business strategy. But then HubSpot is a company that measures everything. It's a very analytical company. And at our scale, not from terms of employees, because when I worked at Workday, it was about the same number of employees. And Workday also had a super strong operational backbone. But when you deal with 250,000 customers, the kind of volume of transactions there is completely different. And we measure everything. And so our CEO, our CFO, and our chief sales officer, we clearly track what is the average sales price when a partner is involved, and it's X% higher. That the average win rate when a partner is involved is X% higher. And from our finance team, who looks at where do they allocate budget, they've got a metric called lifetime value to customer acquisition cost. It's called LTV to CAC ratio. And it's a way of normalizing the effectiveness and productivity of various functions and teams. And partner is number one in HubSpot in terms of the value we get over the lifetime of a customer to the acquisition cost. How much does it cost for us to acquire them and pay commissions to the partners, etc. And so when they look at every dollar, euro, pound, where should they invest? It's kind of a natural investment place because the return is so much greater than other parts of the business. And so I guess two things. It's part of our business strategy, and it's a good economic sense. And that's how the C-suite are fully behind and engaged with partners.
Yeah. Before I would say moving to data, AI, etc., can you just maybe tell us more about your ecosystem? It's quite big today with app, service, I think like almost 2,000 apps.
Yeah, so we've got about 6,000 solution partners, and the majority of our solution partners will be, obviously they focus on our ideal customer profile, our ICP, which is small, mid-size, and lower enterprise customers. So they also tend to be quite small and agile. HubSpot's value proposition is to be, easy to deploy and quick time to value. And so we want to bring in a network of solution partners that embody that embrace it, that know how to make money, not by super elongated sales cycles and 9-month deployment timescales, which is what we had at Workday, but quick time to value. We're talking about weeks, months at worst case, and a sales cycle can be done in 1 or 2 weeks. So they have to have that volume, velocity approach while still delivering excellent customer service. And so they tend to be boutique, organizations. And like I said, we have about 6,000 of those. And then we have another part of the organization that I don't directly manage is the app partners. And these are the ISVs that are building solutions on top of HubSpot to complete our offerings. And so we have another couple of thousand of those app partners.
Yeah, and at your level, how do you make sure that you put the right effort on the right partner?
So, great question. When you've got that many partners, the first thing that I would say, and I've dealt with boutiques right from my early days at Google when I was the first leader of their cloud ecosystem in EMEA, to Workday, which dealt with a lot of the big GSIs, Accenture, Deloitte, PwC, IBMs of this world, and at Zendesk that had a mix of both. That we're very focused on customer success and partner success, and of course, vendor success, right? And so we don't treat the partners as numbers. We treat them as people who've bet their careers, their mortgage, their livelihood on our technology. And so we take that very seriously. And I have to say, HubSpot is the first company I've been in where the CEO believes the same. You would expect a partner person to believe that way, right? Because we're in front of these partners every day. We're in front of the partner principles, and we care deeply about their success. And when I was at Google, and this was the beginning of cloud, it was the same thing. Like, you're making a huge bet on becoming a Google Cloud partner, and we took that really personally. And same thing at HubSpot, but with 6,000 partners. And we have a pretty typical, pyramid scheme in terms of our tiering, where you could be an elite partner and about 2% of our global partners make it to elite, and then it goes down the stack. And so everybody gets a named partner development manager. It's just the ratios are different. If you're an elite partner, maybe the strategic partner development manager may only have 5 or 6 of those accounts. And if you're down as a growth PDM and you're working with newly onboarded partners, you may have 150 partners. So that's how we work it. That's how we try and drive consistency in our partner organization, and our partners feel the right level of attention and love from us, and an encouragement to go up and to sell more and keep customers happy so they can go up and become a higher tiered partner.
Yeah, and you said it earlier, you're a 3 billion revenue company, but if I'm not wrong, it's like 15 or 16 billion for your ecosystem?
Yeah, so we're 3 billion in revenue, but we commissioned a survey from IDC, and the serviceable market for our partners is $30+ billion of opportunity out there. AI presents, I think, a significant opportunity and challenge for our partners, but there's a lot of opportunity for partners, and HubSpot doesn't compete with our partners. We don't have an army of professional services out there to compete with them. We do have consultants that go out there to master the craft of new technology, and so AI is a great example of that. The partners are looking to us for leadership. What are the customers asking for, and what are some of the service offerings, and how should we cost it, and how would we create a statement of work? And so we create these things through knowledge of interactions with customers, but then we scale through partners. It's not as a revenue generator. It is to create the best practice and drive some consistency in our ecosystem.
Yeah, you're together, and I think that's why it's so successful. I'm sure some partners are going to watch at you. How can they do more business with HubSpot?
Yeah, I think we're very clear about what success looks like from our partnership, and we've worked through various iterations. But at the end of the day, it's are you sourcing revenue for us, and are you keeping customers happy? These are the two primary KPIs, the key KPIs, the bit of redundancy in the K, but and so these are the two main metrics. And so it's a give to get. We want partners to source revenue for us and new customers and keep the customers happy. And in return, we will bring them a lot of opportunities. The ratio of, depending on which country you are in the world, it could be like a 2-to-1 ratio of us bringing revenue to partners versus them bringing revenue to us. There'll be pockets in Europe, especially, where partners are doing a fantastic job, but we try to make it a reciprocal relationship. If you're doing a great job as a demand source for us, we will bring deals back to you. And I've been doing this since 2008 when I was at Google. So brand new role for us at Google, and cloud was just beginning. This was 2008, beginning of cloud. And, I would look at our partners, and let's just say a lot of the existing SIs were very focused on Microsoft at the time. And so very much a challenger sale into our ecosystem. They look at Google. They love Google. At this point, the brand was, number one in the world. We had, more money than Bank of England or Bank of France. And I would look them in the eyes and I'd say, I expect you to bring us deals. And they're like, what? How? Like, you've got a bigger brand than I do. You've got more money than the Bank of England. And you want me to bring you deals? And I would go, yes. Because if I was in your shoes, I couldn't sleep at night knowing my business was dependent on you bringing me deals. Point number one. Point number two, you have no signal to the market if you're not out there speaking to prospects. If you're waiting for us to, filter that, you don't know where the market's going. And so from a strategic perspective, it may be painful for you. You need to source. And so I've been having that conversation for 17 years, and I'm unapologetic about it. You need to source. And that's really critical. And at HubSpot, there's 5 demand sources. You've got marketing, going out there to create QLs. You've got sales reps doing their own prospecting. We've got a BDR function. We've got partner, and we've got online. And no surprise to anybody in the ecosystem, but the leads that we're getting from Google's wonderful 10 blue links is going down. So QL is really struggling, not just at HubSpot, but everywhere. And so they're looking for other demand sources to pick up the pace and to grow even more. And this is a fantastic opportunity for partner teams out there to add even more value. And as I come back to what I said earlier, the CFOs are thinking about, where do I place my allocation of budget? And in our space, they're looking at partners as a demand source that's accelerating at a time when QL is decelerating. So that is the most important. Long answer to your question, how do partners get more business from HubSpot? It's to source, and we will help them in lead generation best practices. We'll help them in sales best practices, but most importantly, we will bring deals back to them when they source. And so that's the strategic context, I think, for many vendors out there, but for HubSpot in particular.
Yeah, you said something very interesting, and I'd like to deep dive maybe now into data metric KPIs. You said you have different channels, different sources. How do you measure attribution? Because we know today that someone is going to watch the webinar, maybe the sales is going to say, okay, I had a call with the prospect.
Yeah.
Then the partner is going to say, okay, but it's a partner source lead. How do you deal with that? And how do you measure, all the channels?
Yeah, I think lead attribution is a hot topic when I speak with my colleagues. And I think this is an area that HubSpot does well, but again, not as well as I would like. We have an attribution hierarchy where, and again, it tells you how partner-friendly HubSpot is as a culture. The number one attribution is, did a partner source it? After that comes other, like, did they download a white paper, did a BDR outreach? But if a partner sourced it, that trumps all of the other attribution sources out there, because we really want to encourage partners to go out there, source the opportunities, and upload the leads early. So we have transparency on who they're talking to, and there has to be some BANT qualification to understand their budget, authority, need, and timescale. And then when that is loaded, then it's locked that that's a partner deal. Now, what's important is also to understand at HubSpot, reps are not penalized when a deal is put through a partner. So it's neutral compensation. Again, comes back to that is an exceptionally expensive investment for the company, but it's because we've seen the benefit, the ROI and win rate and ASP and as a fast-growing deal source. So we encourage reps to work with partners, obviously. We try and take as much friction out of that process. And we encourage partners, therefore, to have confidence that we're not competing against them, but they need to register that deal early so that they get that guaranteed partner-sourced attribution. So that's a moment in time. I think there's other ways of working this. I think you could have multi-touch attribution. What you can't have is, marketing saying yes, but they downloaded a white paper, a BDR saying yes, but I spoke with them, a rep saying yes, I closed the deal, and a partner going, yeah, but I also touched it, where 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, it still equals 1. So you have to make sure attribution is good. When we introduced this 2 years ago, we did it with the express knowledge that this would create some friction. And it's a bit of a race. And we don't want people to load bad quality deals just so they get the recognition. So, we're paying close attention on the quality of it. If you can do multi-touch, then that's good. We're not quite there. But I think where we've got is serving our purpose, and it's setting the culture that we want, which is get in there fast, make sure it's good quality. And if you have terrible conversion, we'll catch you out anyway. So if we see a partner is loading just a ton of bad leads, we're going to sit down and talk to them about why is their conversion well below average. So it's a way of keeping everything in check.
Okay. And do you measure influence too? Because, maybe sometimes the lead is going to be sourced by marketing, but then, sales is going to the process and then it's closing faster because the partner is involved into the sales process.
Yeah, we're not there yet. I think if we can get multi-touch, I think that's when we can get the influence factor. We operate a pretty simple ecosystem. We're not where there's a distributor, a reseller, an app partner, a advisory company. And so if you're in one of those kind of organizations, you could have all of the above influencing a deal. And I've seen some partner programs where, depending on what you do, you can still get a payout, even if you only did the initial advisory, you weren't the originator of the deal. So we've got it pretty simple. So that's also how we're able to scale, is we've kept our ecosystem very, very simple. We don't do resell, we don't do distribution. It is purely on referral commission for 3 years. And I get asked all the time, like, are you going to put in resell and distribution? It's really hard to make a compelling case now to start that from scratch. And whenever I ask my colleagues and I say, would you go into resell distribution now if you didn't already have it? No one says yes. So I think we're in a different world than we were, decades ago when resell and distribution was created. I think if those companies started to do it again, they wouldn't.
Okay.
So we've got a very simple ecosystem to solve for that.
Okay, nice. And regarding the numbers, can you please share with us some numbers, how efficient your ecosystem is on ASP, LTV, etc., if not confidential?
So I'm not able to share the exact percentages. This is unfortunately going to go out in an uncontrolled manner. But I can say that it's materially better in ASP, materially better in close rates, materially better LTV to CAC. The one area that we're actually slightly worse is the deal length. When partners get involved in deals, the deals tend to take a little bit longer. And that is maybe not a surprise because they tend to work the bigger deals. And whenever you have multiple touch points working on solutions and taking customers through the journey and the change, it is going to elongate the sales cycle. But we work, very carefully with our partners and align on a close plan and make sure we're all singing from the same hymn sheet to say, right, this deal needs to close by December 31st. Are we all aligned? Yes, because all of our partners are private enterprises. They don't care about month ends, quarter ends, so we need to just align on a close plan. But material improvements on everything except close time.
Yeah. I'd like, to ask a question, because you're not, working directly with app partners, but at Inbound this year, if I'm not wrong, you mentioned that you're going to train like 2,500 people, to co-sell with partner. Which is a massive take for me. Why did you take this decision, and how are you going to deploy such an ambitious plan?
Yeah. So Inbound is our marquee customer and partner event that we hold every September. We held it in San Francisco. So yes, you were there. Thank you for that. We announced on stage at the partner day that we would train all of our sales teams. And we've never done that. We've never trained and created basically a certification for our sales teams on what does great co-selling look like. And I think whenever you speak with any partner professional out there and you look at any survey and you ask partners, what do you look for in your partnering vendor? They always, number one, is it a fantastic product? They lie and typically say number two is how easy are they to work with, and number three is economics. I tend to think economics is actually number two or number one, but co-selling friction and friction in the partner program is a huge obstacle for partners to work with a vendor. And so what we look at and we seek feedback from our partners are, what are the areas of friction? that you're facing with working with HubSpot. And one of the when we used to have channel account managers, there wasn't friction because they would, live or die on the deals together, and they worked together, and that they'd finish each other's sentences. But now, when we removed the channel account manager, and now we said to the partners, "You're now going to work with all of the sales reps out there." That was a big change for both the sales reps and the partners, and we didn't do, I think, a good enough job in the change management, educating the sales reps on how do you work with partners. And so the purpose of this certification, which is going to go live in Q1, knock wood, is to make sure that the partner experience is strong, that we educate the reps in what a good co-sell looks like. And it's just a way of smoothing out any kind of bumps in the road. When you have a partnership, you need to make sure we're all aligned. If we're not aligned, that friction can really cause problems, and we want to get ahead of that to the point that if you don't pass the certification, we're not going to pass partner deals to you, Mr. or Ms. Rep. So there's a lot of riding into you getting this certification. So I always like, creative tension. I think attribution is one creative tension, and I think this certification is another way, which is will enable you, and you'll get something back. If you don't, there'll also be an impact to that. And so, yes, it was very roundly received positively by partners at Inbound, and yes, we're going live early next year.
Okay, and how do you deploy such a plan internally? Did you hire someone? A team to deploy that plan?
So we've got a dedicated partner ops team that purely focuses on the quality of our co-sell. And now through the magic of AI, they're able to even, I don't know if you know the movie Minority Report, with Tom Cruise. I think it was Tom Cruise, yeah. Where they actually will look before you've committed the crime. Through AI, I don't know if I should be telling you this, we are actually looking in real time at the notes of the sales rep to see, are you about to cause an infraction? We've got very clear rules of engagement, which is what the certification is all about. And if we see you potentially going down this route, we're proactively reaching out to the rep and saying, hey, we just want to make sure you're aware that you're on thin ice, and we recommend taking a different course of action. And so we know what the kind of infractions that are out there. Some are very minor and some are quite major. And if it's a major, it actually gets escalated to our employee relations. And what I'm also agreeing is if you have a major infraction, that will impact your ability to be promoted or even attend our President's Club. So and also claw back on the commission on the deal that you made a major infraction on. And it's not us being judge and jury, but the employee relations team under HR is the arbiter of, did you cross the line? So we're very, very careful to communicate, to enable, to show the positive that partners will bring. But there's a downside if you cut corners, because a rep will care about the deal. We care about a healthy ecosystem. And so it's a way of making sure we are aligned.
Yeah, and it proves how important your ecosystem is to HubSpot. Yeah. On the other side, how do you train partners? Because we know that we must enable partner to sell with us also. Same with partner ops?
Yeah, so because we scale through partners and we don't have a professional services, we're very transparent with all of our assets that we create, we make available to partners. So I think the good news is we're very transparent with partners and we share all of our best practices and learning. We have taken our own sales team through a new sales methodology this year, and partners went through it with us at exactly the same time. We have to be on the same page, sell the same way, use the same, methodology, the same language. Same with when we launch new products. We have to make sure that you're trained on it. If your customers ask you, you need to be ready to explain, yes, here's our new product and here's why it's important to you. The downside is oh my goodness, we send a lot of information to our partners. And so if anything, we get the communication that it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of information. And so again, through the benefit of AI, I think AI, and we're still in the early days of this, is I think dramatically changing the enablement landscape. I think what we're sending out now is sort of AI notebooks with all of the content in it. And partners can just ask it questions, interrogate it, and say, okay, I've got a sales opportunity that looks like this. Tell me what's new with HubSpot that I should be aware of that I can position, and what's the value proposition that I should use. And it's like very targeted enablement now. And it's gone from a passive, let me read or attend a course, to now it's much more of an active asking questions, interrogating. And so I think AI is changing massively for the better how we communicate to partners and how they consume that deluge of information.
Yeah. Let's talk about AI because I think that's the biggest topic at the moment. Maybe to start, how do you see maybe B2B SaaS in 5 or 10 years with AI?
Cough, cough, chalk, choke. Let me think. Let me look at the answers. Look, I don't think anybody can tell where we're going to be in 5 years. I think things are changing so much. But from my perspective, and I was at IBM when we were going through the mainframe to PC revolution. I was selling PC computers to the first customers out there. I was at Google when cloud was created and mobile became a predominant source of receiving information as well. And so I certainly know that you need to lean into this, and there's no going back. So unlike when we moved to the cloud, there was incredible resistance from the software industry because it was a massive change in their commercial model, from perpetual, sending out CD-ROMs to cloud-based subscription licenses. And fortune favored the brave, the ones that moved quickly, and the new startups, because they could disrupt. If you and your listeners have heard of the innovator's dilemma, you will be out-innovated from somebody who's not an incumbent and will probably come up with a worse product than yours, but it resonates with the market because it's simpler, it's less expensive, and it transforms the economics from a customer. And you can't react because you're too slow. That's what we saw with certainly the shift to mainframe to PCs and perpetual licenses to cloud. I think it's different that SaaS companies are all at the forefront of AI. So they're not hedging their bets, but the economic model is very different. The move to consumption-based pricing is a flipping minefield for all SaaS companies. Because if you're a publicly listed company or not, but you still have, a significant customer base, how do you move that customer base to credit-based, usage-based, without completely disrupting your earnings? It is proverbially the proverbial, jumping, or what is it? Jumping from one speeding car to another speeding car over rough terrain. It is a logistical nightmare that you need to be like PhD mathematics or AI mathematics to understand how do you change a business economics without disrupting it. So first is leaning into the new economics, and I think this is going to bring up an opportunity for disruptors who come in with nothing to lose. And so they will offer, and we see this in the customer service space especially, where a lot of the startup or disruptive players are saying, don't pay us based on number of employees, don't even pay us on usage, pay us on resolution. And, you can see all of the incumbents in the room going, how do we even compete with that? And so I think there's going to be a lot of disruption from single-use AI disruptors out there. And I think they're going to upend a lot of companies out there that aren't able to add unique value and justify a premium, because they will be premium versus these cloud native or AI native companies. So I think that's the first thing. Is I think AI is going to disrupt the SaaS industry. A lot of it is going to be based on the how you monetize AI, and the second is the security you can provide to a business customer on the validity of the service. We know that AI right now is non-deterministic, meaning you can ask it 5 questions and it will give you 5 completely different answers. And I think that is causing a lot of corporates out there to be very nervous. They want certainty. If I ask this question, I want to know that you're going to give this outcome and not hallucinate. We're not there yet, but companies that have the best customer context will deliver the best AI output. And this is where I think HubSpot is in a great place, because we've got great customer context, because we have the sales data, the marketing data, the customer support data, and it all lives in one place that you can ingest then third-party data into it in one place, and you can clean it up. Because if you have bad data, you're going to get terrible AI results. And so going out to customers and say, I've got the best customer context that will deliver the best outcome, is also going to make a big difference in winners or losers in the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's.
Do you see something similar when you speak with other people and when you look at the market? Do you see any other main dynamics in the marketplace?
And I see, I think, number one, maybe today, and happy to have your take on that. But, for maybe services partners, with AI, they maybe can build up in an easier way. So for me, it's also another thing, some people are not building things very fast, Like for me, I'm not able to code, etc. But with vibe coding tools like Lovable, I'm able to do some landing page, website, etc. in a fast way. Do you see that in your ecosystem?
Yeah, we do. And that's why we brought both our solution partner and our app partners under one leader from a program perspective, because we want to see a lot more synergy between solution partners and app partners. And we are seeing a lot of solution partners building their own apps. And so I completely agree. We are definitely seeing the creation of these kind of rapid development that can be monetized is a huge opportunity for our solution partners out there. At the same time, AI is, I think, a potential threat to solution partners, because when you roll out an agent, the agent is the service. You don't need to implement it. It is disrupting the workforce service. And that service of scoping, deploying, implementing, and then training used to be the role of a solution partner. I'm not talking about HubSpot, I'm talking about in general. And so that's gone, because when you flick open the agent and it is live, it will know who you are, it will be easy to use, it will go live to your customers, and it will be disruptive. But like with all disruption, I think some elements will be killed off, but it will create a lot of other service opportunities, which is why when we went back to IDC to revisit the services opportunity with HubSpot in light of what we're doing with AI, they actually increased the services addressable market for our partners by a couple of $2 billion, because it creates new service opportunities for them, especially around the data layer. Plus, they can create their own apps that they can be monetized, but it will change. The days of showing up with, this is what made me successful over the last 20 years of, implementing, training, deployment, customization. I think some of those skills are going to go away, or it will lessen in the future.
Yeah, fully agree with you. And, at the same time, I see, as you said, an opportunity, but maybe a risk when it comes to an ecosystem, because you're going fast with AI because you must have to go fast with AI. But at the same time, maybe some partners are not that fast. So do you see some do you see something different in your ecosystem right now with AI? Are you speaking with your partners, your ecosystem? How maybe you train them?
Yes. So yes, yes, and yes. And I'm very transparent also about the implication if they don't get on the bus, AI bus, they will be left behind. So the simple answer is yes, we are taking the signals from the market. We're creating some SOW templates that we then share with our partners so everybody can be out and use that as a base level. They then can add on to it, but we want to make sure that we train everybody in the basics of what our customers are asking for. But I'm going to take a step back on something that I'm very passionate about that we are using internally at HubSpot that I think is a great gift that I think will resonate with your listeners. And that's, how do you lead in a time of AI? So forget about services, but how do you lead? How do you lead as a partner manager? How do you lead your partners through the change? And if you're a partner, how do you think about the change? And this is what we're using today, which I think it's very good. And it's the analogy that we've all built successful careers as map readers. We've lived through relatively linear times that we know where we are today. We know where we're going to go tomorrow. We've got a series of playbooks that we've always used, and we know that we can rinse and repeat and apply the same thing. And finance is kind of dragging the spreadsheet. It's whatever we did today plus X percent. That's been the benign work environment that we've lived through for decades. I think AI changes the game. And being a map reader is not going to be sufficient because you don't know where we're going. No one does. You ask me where we're going to be in 2 or 5 years, and the simple answer is no one knows. And so how do you become, if you're a great map reader, that's against you because you can kind of be fixed in your mindset. And I think if you need to adapt to become an explorer, not a map reader. Think of, Amelia Earhart, who flew over, the Atlantic in the 1920s, the first, person to do that. Or, if you're a Star Trek, Captain James Kirk going into the galaxies far and wide. No idea where you're going, who you're going to meet if there's Klingons around the corner. You need to have that kind of explorer mindset that says, I don't know where I'm going, but A, I'm excited by it, but B, I need to change my operating system, my leadership operating system. I need to be curious. So I'm not going in knowing that if I do A and B, it will deliver the same results. It won't. So, but I need to do a lot of testing. I need to have curiosity. I need to be running a lot of pilots to see what worked today may not work tomorrow, but I need to run a lot of tests. So we need to be curious and be, as I said, like explorers. We also need to be comfortable with, we don't know the destination, but we have to stay really close to what our customers are saying and what competitors are out there. And you need to work high level, strategic, and looking, at what's going on in the year. And you need to be really in the weeds and very tactical to know what your customers are saying. And as leaders, we need to operate at both altitudes, strategic and down in the leads, in the deals, speaking with as many customers and colleagues out in the market so you know what's going on. And that's the only way I think that you can be a true explorer and not have that fixed mindset. So I think as we're leaders going into next year and thinking about 2026, which is something I'm right in the middle of right now, I think changing how we lead is one of the most important things that we all as go-to-market leaders, as partner leaders, should start to be thinking about.
And how do you train employees, in that change? Because we have seen some layoff, during the year in your industry. Are you training people actually?
Yeah. So how we use AI internally is, first of all, we give them access to most of the tools out there. Everybody, because we use Google internally, everybody's using Gemini. A lot of the team are using Claude or Ask Elephant. There's a ton of tools out there. We all use Gong AI to review the transcripts. But more importantly, what I've done under the explorer mindset is don't expect a leader to come up with the answers either, because they don't know. And so what I did earlier this year is I basically said, right, let 1,000 flowers bloom. Let's encourage all of the partner team to come up with use cases, to document them, to record a quick Loom. We use Loom internally so that you have like a 30-second, 1-minute pitch. This is what I've done. This is how I use it, and watch me. We then loaded them up into a library, and then we aggregated the library into a couple of themes. And then we voted on which are the most important use cases, and then we start to codify those use cases, and then we train people on the use cases. So it's a way of, as I said, experimenting, having that explorer mindset, the scientific mindset, and then consolidating the top 3 into the most impactful use cases, and then rinse and repeat every quarter. So get everybody involved. To be promoted in HubSpot, you need to be using AI and showing how you're using AI. But it's not a push thing, it's more of a pull thing. I think every HubSpotter, right now we use it as part of our hiring criteria, is, how are you using AI? So it's like right from the DNA at the beginning to your promotion, but also given the pace that we're operating at, you can't keep working the same way you used to, because the pace is getting so much, faster, and you can't cope with the amount of information. So we're giving everybody the tools, we're explaining why it's important, but they're embracing it. They're really hungry for it.
Great.
So it's a real cultural thing. It's not imposed on them.
Yeah, and I think that's a big change. Everything is going so fast right now with AI. You must embrace the change, and that's now.
Yeah.
When it comes to your partners, what are the use cases with your partners with AI?
So in terms of how they're using AI with us, I think the number one thing is how do they consume all of the information? Another good use case that we're just rolling out now is a co-marketing bot, where we do a lot of co-marketing with partners, but that's been a relatively recent phenomenon. And they put in the ideas that they will be putting in their campaign into the bot, and it will come out with suggestions to improve their chance of getting a good return on investment. So really practical use cases around disseminating the volume of information, and how do I use that information, and when I try to drive leads, what is the best value proposition for this customer, for this campaign? How do I make sure I get the best return on investment? These are some of the most impactful use cases that we're seeing.
Great. Well, if we move maybe something different, we know that partnerships is also very important internally, to have a perfect alignment. I think you have that at HubSpot. But how do you report the results to the C-level, and how do you maybe deal with that?
Yeah. So first of all, nothing's perfect. So I think we just have to get used to imperfection, and never let good be the enemy of excellent, or is it the other way around? Excellent be the enemy of good. And as soon as I wrap this podcast, I am going to present to our C-level about our 2026 plans. I think how we communicate is we've got a very clear strategy. The strategy is working. We have proof points to show it's working. We have got financial proof points that demonstrate the continued investment required. You can see that partners are growing as a fast demand source, and therefore it's a good place for us to continue investing. We know that customers retain longer and upsell better when they're managed by a partner. So the two main KPIs around sourcing and retention, which are the most important for the company, we're good stewards of the business. And so then it comes down to no surprises. The C-level should already be aware of what we're doing. Their fingerprints are on the weapon. They speak to partners all the time. And through that discourse with partners are usually very good at sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so apart from doing a lot of customer NPS surveys, they have the direct interaction with partners. Some of them are executive sponsors of partners. And yeah, the most important thing for C-suite is where do they allocate their time? Where do they allocate their resources? And is partner a good recipient of their time and resources? And as the steward of the business, my job is to make sure that they understand it and they see that these are good investments.
And how do you deal with sales today? Because you have a new chief sales officer since this year, if I'm not wrong,
Yes.
David. How do you deal with him and with sales internally? How partners and sales are working together?
He's been fantastic, and I've been very lucky. The incumbent before he joined, I think in April, was also just an amazing partner champion. So the first thing is when your boss spends so much time with partners, it sort of is. Then he felt like, oh, I need to spend a lot of time with partners, and so first I got him on the inside very quickly. Again, I think he manages a very large direct sales team. And he looks at the numbers and he's like, okay, how do I sell more? How do I sell more efficiently? How do I keep our customers happy? And especially with QL volume going down, where am I going to get the growth? And so through all of these things, he's been a fantastic advocate. He's somebody who will also always look at the long-term health of the business over this immediate month or this immediate quarter. And he understands that partnerships is a long game. You can, win a deal, but if you burn a partner, you're going to lose them forever. And so he's, I think, been a fantastic advocate through talking with a ton of partners. Also understanding everything is two-way. Sometimes the partners don't show up as they should. Sometimes they will still show up and not care about our timelines. They may not be as trained on all of the products as we are. And so it's tough love and it works both ways. And so if he's had a bad experience or any of our sales team have a bad experience, we measure it and we report it back. And then, we have tough words with the partner. You're letting the side down. And what I do when I speak with partners is, you are part of a global brand. It's not that you're a 50 people company in Northern England or in Paris. You are part of a brand partner. And if you let the side down, you are letting everybody down. And so I try to make sure that they weigh that responsibility, they show up well, and that it's in their vested interest that the partner finishes their call saying, that was a great deal with a great partner. I'm going to bring them more deals. So that's really, really important that the sales team know we hold our partners to a very high accountability bar as well. And it's not all just compliance internally. No. We have actually offboarded partners this year because they didn't hold, the, brand up to the level that we think they should. We've down-tiered partners because, again, they didn't do what we think was appropriate for our partner according to the terms of our agreement. And we've put them in a penalty box and said, right, you're not getting any deals from HubSpot for a certain period of time because you made serious infractions. And until you show us that you've put a policy in place to meet the conditions inherent in our partner agreement, you're on ice. You're not going to get anything from us. So there's real teeth to it that works both ways. And that's how we've got the respect of, the sales teams. And we run I think a good, clean business that we're all in it together.
It's almost time to wrap up. Maybe two last questions, Peter. First one is, what's the future of the ecosystem of HubSpot? There is AI, that's a game changer. Maybe impossible to say, but how do you see that maybe in 2 or 3 years?
It's a great question. And I'm very conscious in not letting being a prisoner of history. What happened when I was at Google, at Workday, at Zendesk, and I'm starting to see still now, is our partners are starting to merge because the cost of being a partner, especially in an AI world, is actually quite expensive. It's hard to find the talent. As we go more and more upmarket and more complex deals, it's more expensive to run longer sales cycle. And so partners are clubbing together to merge. And we're starting to see that consolidation. I've seen that time and time again throughout the last 15, 17 years. And at some point, I think a bigger player will come in. I think because our value proposition is easy and fast, when you think of the global SIs, you don't think of being easy to work with or fast time to value. They tend to run away. They like it when it's complex and slow. But I've seen this time and time again. They will buy into the largest of the boutiques and keep them as a semi-autonomous and make sure they have bets across, the mid-market as well as the enterprise. And by the way, our value proposition of being easy and fast is resonating with, companies in the CAC 40 and, the FTSE 100, because with the world we live in, they hate the complexity and the sludginess, I don't know if that's a word, of enterprise software. And they're looking for something that can be much quicker to use. And so HubSpot ecosystem, I think, will be, go through a period of consolidation. I think that's good. I think we'll see a lot of AI native companies come in. I think some of these will come in through our partnerships with OpenAI and Anthropic. And so we'll get maybe even single person companies coming in with massive global impact. And I think our challenge is, how do we get the signal to noise ratio? Because we'll look at them and like, okay, you're a one person solopreneur. Forget about it. We're not going to spend much time with you. But no, some of these will be the future of the industry. And I think that's something that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on in a couple of years, that the really impactful partners of the future are not going to look like the same ones that we see today. And so we're going to have to be very, very careful to get that signal right, to redefine what our ideal partner profile looks like. And the economics will look very different if we think about consumption-based. We pay based on consumption, not on, how many seats have you deployed. So it's going to be a very exciting couple of years. I think this is the biggest transformation yet, because in the explorer mindset, no one knows where we're going to be, how long it's going to take. I passionately believe in the saying that we are overestimating its impact in the short term, but dramatically underestimating its impact in the long term. So is there a bubble in AI right now? Maybe. I'm not the best judge of that. But will it be transformative for the industry and us as individuals in the next, medium term? 100%.
I fully agree with you. And that's, fantastic opportunity also for many companies. Maybe the last question for you. What do you like to see in this show? What do you want to learn, from peers or other people in the world?
I would love to get. I'd love to understand where people are seeing the resistance to AI and what they're doing to overcome it, from both a business and a commercial perspective. What I say to partners is, the economics of moving to AI are not clear. But these are snowflakes right now. These snowflakes will turn into snowballs, will turn into an avalanche. If you're not in it now, you're going to miss. And in our projections, credits is going to be like a $500 million business in the next few years. So it's going to be huge. I would love to understand how other companies are going through that transformation with their partner ecosystem when the economics aren't clear, the skills they require aren't clear, where you find those skills aren't clear, and how do you get partners to go in that direction where the destination is unknown. I'm going to come back to, I think, one thing that I think encapsulates everything that HubSpot has done through bad times and good, is we've earned our partners' trust. And when we ended lifetime commissions, that was huge for our ecosystem. But they saw that we were reinvesting the savings back into our ecosystem, and that we were transparent, that we helped our partners through the transformation and transition. And through things like the certification of our sales teams, they know that they can trust us. So when we say to our partners, we don't exactly know where we're going, we don't know how you're going to make money, but this is where we'd like you to invest and help us on the journey with our customers, they are leaning in. But that goodwill will only last so much amount of time. And I think that's the big thing for partners, for vendors out there, is how do you earn your trust in bad times and good when you don't have clarity? And I think this is a moment right now that I'm really keen to hear what other people have to say and what they're doing.
Yeah, very interesting to me too. So I'll try to have the right people at the table.
Wonderful.
Where can we find you, Peter? LinkedIn? I know that you're a busy man, but...
Yeah, look me up. I think there's only one Peter Lorant on LinkedIn, although I do believe that there is my parents are Hungarian. I think there's a Hungarian basketball player in Sweden.
Yeah.
I am not him. I'm 5'10". I am not a basketball player in Sweden. So yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I restrict my socials to just LinkedIn. I'm not a huge socials person. I love podcasts. So if you have any great podcasts about leadership, around transformation, I'm an avid reader and watcher of your podcast. And so yeah, you'll find me. LinkedIn, I suppose, is the best.
Great. Thanks a lot for your time, Peter. Thanks a lot for all the insights that you share with everyone. That was very insightful. So thanks a lot. And like always, you can, of course, subscribe, share this episode, and rate us 5 stars. It helps us to get discovered.
Merci.